Elisha, that he came back with this. Yes, sir? You're unclean. So that was the law there. Why did this happen anyway? Why did it start? Anyone? All right. We'll look at that a little bit more deeply. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Well, it was because he had a double portion of what was on Elijah, and it was still in bones.
Correct. Well done, sir. Because he had asked initially, before he went into his ministry, as his father was about to leave him, which was Elijah, he said, "Can I get a double portion of what you have?" In other words, can the anointing that's on your life be doubled in my life? Believe it or not, sons have the right to ask them. And so when he now died, the anointing was still in his body. It had not dissipated yet. And so if anyone who was dead touched his dead body, then the reverse happened to them, right? Which was they were made to be alive. Make sense? All right. Yes, sir.
Quick question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Was the dead man a type of Israel coming back to life after getting like the law back into us?
That's typology, and I must confess I looked into it that. But you kind of tickled my fancy, and I started to look at the Bible. Yes, Muhammad. Could this happen today? No, that can't happen today. And the only reason why it can't happen today because after the cross, after his death, Yahweh's death, a number of things changed because of the state that Israel was in. You see, we're going back to a time when the openness of the anointing of God was prevalent among Israel. And part of the reasons why that was because of the promise that was given, that the Father promised that he would never forsake them and he would never forget them. So whatever condition that they were in, even though this situation here, with all the nations coming against Israel, was brought upon Israel because the Father was upset with them, but he still wouldn't let no one kill or destroy Israel to the nth degree. He won't let that happen. And that's why it is written both in the New Testament and the Old Testament. What is written, gentlemen, about Israel? Yes, ma'am? Yes, so we'll always have a remnant, but the other one. Go ahead. Well, you're right, but you have to word it the right way, but you're right. What you got, Johanna?
Yeah, I was going to say Isaiah 45 and 17, Israel must be saved.
Yes, let's go there. And then we'll stop there. Quickly, please.
This is the book of Isaiah 45, verse 17. But Israel shall be saved in Yahweh with an everlasting salvation.
Go on.
Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end.
World what?
World without end.
Without end. So, and the other answer to your question there, is in verse 4. Read verse 4. Same chapter.
Isaiah 45, 4. For Jacob, my servant's sake.
For Jacob, my servant's sake, we are servants of the Most High. Only Israel, go on.
And Israel, mine elect.
There it is, Israel, mine elect. So the remnant of Israel is his elect. So Israel will never be dissipated from the face of the earth without a remnant being left behind. Because the scripture says Israel is his elect. That's the election. See? All right. Just finish that verse out, sir.
In Israel, mine elect. I have even called thee by thy name.
Go on.
I have surnamed thee.
Go on.
Though thou hast not known me.
And that's why even today, Israel doesn't know who they are. It's the heart. You try to convince anyone that they're Israel, you're going to be in a long argument because they will fight you tooth and knuckle to say, those people over there, they're the real Israelites. We just Negroes. We're just blacks. All right. Any questions from anyone, real quick, before we move further? Yes, sir. The arrows.
What came to my mind is, when Saul was told to kill the Amalekite, and then Samuel came and he chopped up the king. So it was that kind of zeal that you need to have against the other nation.
Yes,
Okay.
I would agree with that. That sounds pretty good, that might be.
You gotta hold it over your beard. You have to hold it over your beard.
I'm going to hold it over my beard, like this. That reminds me of my mouth is going to be all covered up because my lips moving. My let's say, let's see. Mic check. Mic check.
You still have to hold it a little closer.
Mic check. What do you say?
The black is clear. The
Mic
blue,
check.
The blue has a little bit more reverb.
Yeah.
Bass too.
Yeah, mic check. Okay. All right, let's go. All right, so anything that anyone would like to share with us in regards to current affairs, do so now. Yes, please. Right. When the what, man?
Tyler was in a row.
Right.
She called her mom and came up missing. She called her friend. I don't know if I heard the backstory where she called her friend and her friend heard her screaming on the phone and the phone was dead.
So what's the major outcome of that
We
situation?
don't know. She was coming home from a job. She's a nurse or a doctor or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
She was on the road somewhere in Alabama.
Yeah.
Seen a little kid on the street, toddler. Called her mom, was like, there's a toddler on the street. Called her friends, like, they should stop the car to take on the toddler, and then something happened to her. We don't know. That's what I asked her. They say when the cops got there 3 minutes later, her wig was there, her phone was there, her watch, and her Mercedes-Benz was there with the door open.
Mm. This is why, again, I say, sisters, you have to be on your double watch. Remember that they take men, but they don't take men in as much the great proportion as they take young people and women. I mean, women, you just can't take it for granted. And unfortunately, sometimes you can get too relaxed. You know, but you've got to be self-aware. I've said this to my wife for years. I mean, going back 20, 30 years, I bought one of those. It's a special martial arts key thing. And I said to her, you make sure you pick this when you're going to your car, you have it in your hand, and don't get to the car and start taking your keys out. You take your keys out way before, and when you get to the car, put that bad fella in and jump right. Don't be, oh, what's in my bag? That's the wrong time. Because you see, when I initially was here in Youngstown, some men tried to snatch my sister. Oh yes, they did. Youngstown, Ohio. I never forgot that. I was young then, bro. Young. And so I was in my 30s. And when when my sister got to me, she said, those men just tried to kidnap me in the van. I ran up to the van. Sister D, you know that the Spirit of the Lord was on me. I jumped on the side of that van. There's the part if I'm lying. I'm going to make it to the kingdom, so I'm not going to say I'm lying and exaggerate. I'm not going to miss the kingdom over foolishness. I hung my hung my hand in that window, and the other hand went black, and then just jumped off. No, I'm not show you what I did now. And I never forgot that. And the van was driving and swerving. They tried to grab her and pull her into the van. And a lot of that was happening. And I used to say to her, not because you can handle yourself, a man is a different thing. But even back then. But anyway, so she got away with that at that point. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Miami that was pulled over, and the police officer dragged her out of the car. She was holding the baby and
He punched her in the belly.
punched her in the head and the stomach while she was holding on to the baby. Trying to drag the baby out, the baby was crying. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah, I just think that sisters, you just need to be vigilant. Please be vigilant. And bear this in mind as well. It's not about age. Don't think what I want to do that to me. I'm a mature woman. No. I saw how they flung that mature woman across the car parking lot. And that didn't make me feel too good. All right, can we, the next question, can we keep it away from anything like, my spirit's got to be light when I go through this teaching.
You don't want to hear this.
No, I don't want to hear that.
I was impressed with Jill Scott, and when she remade the anthem, national anthem, that song she changed from the original version to the new one that she created when she was 19 years old.
Yes.
Where she spoke about how this is a land of death and slavery and bondage, and this is not where we come to live. Basically, she had revelation of the truth of this place where we are back when she was 19. And she was bold enough to sing it at the Essence Awards Festival.
Right.
And she's receiving a lot of flack for it now.
Well, who I'm not a vet man, of course, but how many of you would want to guess as to who's given her the flack for it? Our own people. Our own people. She has done something that's revelatory, but also something to help nudge the awakening of our people. And we fight her over it. And I don't know if you've listened to it, it's very stirring. Very stirring indeed. Yes, sir.
Indiana Reed also did the same thing. She did the same thing. It was some type of article, and she went and talked about making the stallion.
Right.
And doing all this, and she was like, look, y'all can handle y'all industry, do y'all industry, but why are you doing all this extra?
Right. Well, remember, the reason why even people like, Cardi B now used to fight against it, she looks like she's completely taken over by the hypnosis of it. Because remember, she wanted to write country and western songs.
Yep.
And they said, no, you're not writing it. You write the type of stuff you're doing right now. Remember there is a book that I have, it's called The Wizards. It's mind-blowing. And it speaks about how the system has been set up to keep complete and utter control of the people. Complete and utter control. They watch and they conspire. And that's why Psalms that we read when it says that they've come into confederacy together, it's absolutely on point. So don't be surprised by these things. But let's get into it. Unless someone else has something to want to share. Okay. Yes, sir.
Just making the ladies aware. You come out of your offices at work, or also your apartment complexes, wherever. Don't sit in your parking lot and go through the phone. They're doing sneak burglary. You won't see the car pull up behind you, and 9 times out of 10, a lot of you open your door, you unlock your door, all 4 of your doors are unlocked. They're sneaking up on the side of your car, snatching your purse, or getting in the car with you and taking you where they want, making you go where they want you to go. So wherever you're gonna do, you get in the car, be ready to pull off. Don't just sit in the parking lot.
All right, let's leave that there, and let's get into the lesson. We're get into part 2 of the lesson that we started last week. I was contemplating whether to or not, but we're going to do part 2 of Eve of Destruction. Part 2 of Eve of Destruction. Eternal God, we thank you again to come into your house. We pray, Heavenly Father, the word we're about to bring forth, let it come forth with power, vigor, and understanding. Let it be, Father, a word that will stand fast in our hearts, that we will have ammunition when the times of darkness come upon us, so that we may prevail over the enemies. All right, let's go, if you please. We'll backtrack just a little bit to bring those of you that are up to date. It's going to get, we'll tell you, it's going to get a little heavy. Yes, it's going to get a little heavy. We're trying to keep it light, but it's going to get a little. Yeah. So let's go back to 2nd Ezra. 2nd Ezra, chapter 4. Please have your thoughts together, because it's going to get a little heavy. So, and I'm going to encourage you, write down the key points. Oh, my memory's good. Your memory's not that good. Write down the key points. Write it down. You will know what key points strike you, and there are key points that I will encourage you to make a note of. 2nd Ezra chapter 4, we're going to begin reading verse 22. Let us read.
This is 2nd Ezra chapter 4, verse 22. Then answered I and said, I beseech thee, O Yahweh, let me have understanding.
That's the key. We must have understanding. One of the things that we lack, like the scripture said, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And that's the main crux of what holds us at bay sometimes. We lack understanding. And the understanding that we need to have is on 3 levels. We must understand what's going on in the times. What is this time period that I'm in? And you have to be able to look at those things, because Yahushua told us that we have to watch and observe the times that we're in. Because there are things happening to show us that there's a close to this age that's coming real soon. This age is closing down. And every age that closes down closes with a climax. So here the writer says to us, he says, Then answered I and said, I beseech thee, O Lord, Yahweh.
Let me have understanding.
Let me have understanding. Read.
For it was not my mind to be curious of the high things, but of such as pass us by daily.
How does it pass us by? Daily. Go on.
Namely, wherefore Israel is given up as a reproach to the heathen.
See that? We're being used as a reproach. That's why when you mentioned earlier about Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B and all of those women, how the enemy has used them to become so provocative. And notice, to brainwash us into an image that sadly, what many are not understanding or getting is that when the so-called nations see you, they see you like that.
That's right.
They're not seeing you as a sophisticated, educated woman. They're seeing you as a woman who's throwing her body around. And that's not what should be happening.
That's right.
So the writer says, namely, wherefore
Israel is given up as a reproach to the heathen.
To the heathen, go on.
And for what cause the people whom thou hast loved is given over unto ungodly nations.
And it has drawn us into ungodliness. And here's the thing, what you've got to also bear in mind. Years ago, when the so-called female rappers came out they rapped without any provocativeness.
That's right.
Today, in order for them to sell records at the scale that they're now selling records, they have to become more salacious. And what they don't understand, they're dropping the standard of a black woman from up here to down here. And this is why, remember, you have to become your own self-advertising campaign. Meaning that when you hear conversations, especially if it's a conversation that you're drawn into, you can rise up a standard and say, that is not the way that our people act. And so, but look what she's doing. That is not the way our people act. This is the media world that's making this a norm. Because remember, when Britney Spears was first walking around with a baby-sized school outfit, showing her underwear as she flicks her hips forward, no one was saying nothing about that. But now that we have our women, and remember the so-called Queen Bee who has led the charge with that, she's up on the stage, throwing her hips around and bending over. We have lost our position as respectable people because of what's going on right now. And remember now, they don't even want to see anything unless they see something provocative. If it's not on the provocativeness, they don't want to see it. And so the writer goes on to say, read, sir.
In whom God has loved is given over unto ungodly nations. And why? The law of our forefathers.
The what?
The law of our forefathers.
Go on.
Is brought to naught.
It's brought to naught. Read.
And the written covenants.
And the what?
And the written covenants.
And the covenants that have been put into a bind book, we call it the scriptures or the Bible. Go on.
Come to none effect.
None effect. Read.
And we pass away out of the world as grasshoppers.
As what?
As grasshoppers.
Go on.
And our life is astonishment and fear. And we are not worthy to obtain mercy.
We are not worthy to obtain mercy because of our actions. This is why we have to be careful. All right, because of time, jump with me to chapter 6, same second Ezra, chapter 6. We're going to kick off, if you please, at verse 57.
Second Ezra, chapter 6, 57. And now, O Yahweh, behold, these heathen.
These what?
These heathen.
Go on.
Which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn,
read,
thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands.
Into their hands. And this is where we find ourselves. We are no longer the people of who we believe we are. We're in the hands of the wicked now. All right? Time. Romans, please. Run to Romans. Romans chapter 8. Romans chapter 8. And we're going to begin reading, if you please, at verse 36. Romans chapter 8 and 36. Let us read.
Romans 8, 36. As it is written.
Now, notice. If it says, the scriptures say, as it is written. If it says that, it means it has already been chronicled somewhere. Whenever you read that, in whatever text or whatever book, you will find it's because it has already been chronicled in another book or chapter somewhere. See that? All right. So, when we see this now, watch this. And we're going to read it. It's immediately going, I won't even need to tell you anything. It's going to build a picture in your head right away. But let's read it, please.
As it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long.
Is that not fulfilling itself right here and now? Our people are being killed all the day long. I had these statistics, I just didn't commit it to memory, of how many of our people that have been killed by police. And there is a percentile as to how many were killed by police versus how many other nations were killed by police. We lead the charge. We don't, sir.
And nay, in all these things, and we are killed all the day long. We are accounted as sheep for the slaughter.
For the slaughter. And that's why we are destroyed. Because they see us as sheep. Remember, they from their own words have said that we have no power. So already the powers that be know that we are powerless. They know that every now and then one of our people may be a senator, may be a member of Congress, may be a lawyer, but they know for the most part our people don't have the backup, and that when they're incarcerated, they don't have named individuals to call like the other nations. But that will change. That's getting ready to change. Blessed be the name of Yahweh. Run with me to Ecclesiastes chapter 8. Ecclesiastes chapter 8, brothers and sisters.
Ecclesiastes chapter 8. Who? Beginning at verse 1, sir?
We're going to begin, if you please, at verse 5. I'll just give you an opportunity to get the chapter first. Begin, if you please, at verse 5.
Ecclesiastes 8, 5. Whoso keepeth the commandments shall feel no evil thing.
Stop. See that? Read it again, sir.
Ecclesiastes 8, 5. Whoso keepeth the commandments.
So that means that male or female, no distinction. Whoso keep the commandments. Now we do know it's speaking directly to Israel here, but it says, whoso keepeth the commandments shall feel no evil thing. No evil thing that's coming to you. Now that's important for me because I need to know that I still have some modicum of connection with the Almighty. I need to know that when I pray for my family or for the saints, I know that the Most High, based on my prayer, will send an angel to watch over that individual or that family or whatever the situation is going to be. I need to know that. And right now, he's telling us right here, whoso keepeth the commandment. If you keep the commandment, you have a connection. But don't expect if you're not keeping the commandments now and you want him to open up the windows of heaven and pour out. There's no pouring coming for you. Keep the commandments. And then he says, read.
Shall feel no evil thing.
Read.
And a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment.
So the wisdom of this book will cause you to discern. Now, I said this a long time ago, many years ago. I said that in Israel, the Spirit and Israel, by the way, and talk about the other nations, Israel, because it says so, it tells us in the book, it tells us, Israel, that the spirit of discernment has been given to you. From the day you were born, the spirit of discernment was given to you. Well, I've never been able to use it. Well, the only reason why you haven't is because, A, you can't use what you don't know that you have.
Right.
You've got to know you have it first. And secondly, you've got to know how to apply it. So the spirit of discernment, and the spirit of discernment is very important because, or who could tell me what is discernment? Let's double check that first. Let's check. All right. Yes, sir. Is it a fact or you're going to give me an opinion?
No, sir. It's understanding. The fact is understanding, discerning.
It's understanding. All right. Somebody give me the dictionary version of it real quick.
The ability to judge well.
The ability to judge well. So if you have discernment, you can judge what you're about to do because your spirit is engaged in it. Have you ever was about to do something, and as you were about to do it, it started to bother you? And you know, old time people would say it doesn't sit right with us. That's what starts to work on your spirit. I was going to do it, but I just feel something telling me just to hold for a moment. And you will know if the enemy is chopping at the bit for you to do it, because they'll start saying, "Oh, whoa, we could do it now, and then we get back to it later." That's a sure sign you say, "Well, I'm holding on." So you have to understand that discernment has been given to every child of Israel from the day you were born. It's been in you. The question is, have you accessed it or have you utilized it? And if you're keeping the law, statutes, and commandment, it's even more ignited in you that you sense it. Do you know as well that the same discernment can tell you how your body is active? You ain't here with me. The same spirit can tell you how your body is feeling, and that's why you've heard even the world say it. You're not listening to your body. You've heard them say that, right? Well, you have that automatically as children of God, because He didn't put you, even though we're not in our spiritual power yet, He has still given you a modicum of things that can guide you through the maze of this life. Because sometimes you will be in a situation, especially if let's say, dealing with young men and young women. There are groups of people who will try to seduce how you think. They'll try to make you do something, and in your mind, you say, no. And you let yourself be drawn in. You've got to be able to say, no, I'm not doing that. So why? I'm just not doing it. You've got to have that type of attitude. That's why weeks ago, months ago, whenever, I told you, I have no problem telling someone no. No problem. My ribs over there will tell you. I will blah, 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 no. All right, so where were we?
Verse 6.
See, you have to have a sense of things. And it doesn't matter if both get upset. Remember, you have the spirit of discernment. And I pray that some of you, from this point, start to exercise your spirit of discernment. I pray you do. Because you'll find out a whole lot of things will go well with you. Come on? All right. So let's give you a precept to what we just read in the Ecclesiastes. Run to Proverbs 7 and 2 for me, and then we're going to run back. In fact, no, just go to Proverbs 7 and 2. Move up quick.
Proverbs 7, verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
Keep my commandments.
Do what?
Keep my commandments.
Proverbs 7 and 2. Read it again.
Keep my commandments.
Notice what we just read in Ecclesiastes 8 and 5. It said, whosoever keepeth the commandments. Are you seeing the connection there? Right, familiar text, come on. So it said, go and read for me Isaiah.
And keep my commandments and live.
And do what?
And live.
So it's telling you, if you want to live, if you want to add a few more years to your life, if you want to, if you're in a situation where you're not prospering right now and you want to prosper, keep the commandments and watch them. And you can say, and look, I used to say many years back, I said to the judge, I said, when you're praying, you can say this to the Father. Father, you said, if I do thus and thus. But why would you say? Because you know what children do? But Daddy, you said, if I, Mommy, you said, if I, and you're familiar with that. I remember a whole lot of those things. So what happens is, you will understand that your children are guided by what you said. Now, the Father told you that. That's as good as going to the bank. And what you have to understand, that he said that you must keep the commandment. Read, sir.
Keep my commandments and live.
And do what?
And live.
Read.
And my law as the apple of thine eye.
As the apple of thine eye. You finished with that, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Run with me back to Ecclesiastes chapter 8, because I want to go to verse 11.
Come on.
Forgot about that. Hmm?
Come on.
Because we need to make sure that we understand why this is here. Go ahead.
Do I read verse 6 first, sir, or go straight to 11?
I want you. Is there something you just put that said we should read verse 6, sir? All right, let's read it.
Okay, because to every purpose there is a time and judgment.
Come
Therefore, the misery.
So to every, read it slowly for me, sir.
Yes, sir. Because to every purpose.
To everything that you do. Go on.
There is time.
There has been set a specific time. Go on, sir.
And judgment.
And judgment. We've begun.
In the latter clauses. Therefore, the misery of man is great upon him.
It's great upon him. Come on. Well, that is the spirit, definitely. So make a note of that, please, sisters and saints. All right. Now let's run back, if you please, to Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 11.
Come on. This is the book of Ecclesiastes 8:11.
Go on.
Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
That's the problem right there. That's the problem. Because you smoked some crack, because you stole some stuff or lied on someone, because the sentence or the punishment for what you did not happen right there and then, you think that's no problem. That's part of the reason why people continue to steal, because no one's caught them yet. And then see when somebody catches them and they start to cry, and then they say they're sorry. No, they're not sorry for stealing. They're sorry that you caught them stealing. That's all else too. Because if you didn't catch them, I'd still be stealing. So this is what it tells us. Before you read any further, I want you to hold that, and run to Sirach chapter 5. I want you to read 3 and 4.
This is Sirach chapter 5, verse 3. And say not, who shall control me for my works?
See that? Who's going to have a hand in controlling me over what I've done? Read on.
For Yahweh will surely revenge thy pride.
See, so your pride thinking you got away with it, he's letting you know, I'm going to revenge and get you for that. Now remember, you've got to remember this. Any emotions you have where you have this feeling of, I need to get you back for that. You've got to remember, it came from somewhere. It came from somewhere. You didn't make it up. So that means if it came from on high, that's one of his attitudes. I'm going to get you for that. Because I've got more time than you, so I'm going to let you go a little bit. Forget about it, then I'm going to smack you down when you least expect it. You see, that's how the Most High God works with it. So let's read the next verse, verse 4.
Say not, I have sinned, and what harm has happened unto me?
See?
For Yahweh is long-suffering. He will in no wise let thee go.
See? He's long-suffering. He'll let you think you got away with it. And that's why mark the words of this book. That if you think you got away with it, that's what you really haven't. And Scripture says, pride comes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before fall. You're about to fall, you just don't know it yet. All right, let's go back, if you please, to Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 11. Let's read the entire.
Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
See, they are set to do evil. They're going to do evil. It's set in them. But read the next verse. What that says.
Ecclesiastes 8 and 12. Though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear Yahweh.
See that? So it goes well with you if you fear the Almighty God. Don't let yourself be in a situation where you don't recognize that the Most High God has a catch-up list on your name. Don't mess with that. Isaiah chapter, let's see, Isaiah chapter 22. Isaiah chapter 22, let's go through Isaiah, please.
Isaiah 22.
Isaiah 22, we're going to begin reading from verse 9.
Isaiah 22, verse 9. Ye have seen also the breaches of the city of David.
Now, when it uses that, it's speaking about Jerusalem. So this is one of those chapters that you have to kind of read it carefully. It's saying what it's saying, but there's a lot more that it's saying that it isn't saying. So it says, read it again for me, please.
Isaiah 22, verse 9. Ye have also seen the breaches of the city of David.
So here it's letting us know that you've also seen all of the damages that has happened in the city of David. Go on.
That they are many, and ye gather together the waters of the lower pool.
Of the lower pool. Because you're fallen from where you used to be, you're now drinking from waters that come from a lower area, meaning it is not as clean. Water that's at a higher level is cleaner than water at a low level. So, and the reasons why, if you imagine if you're at a creek or at a river somewhere, you always walk back up maybe 100 yards to get your water, because water flows down, and sometimes things are in the water that shouldn't be, and if you're at the lower end, you drink whatever was put in it at the higher level. You with me so far? So I don't go into detail. So then read on, sir, read.
Verse 10. And ye have numbered the houses of Jerusalem, and the houses have ye broken down to fortify the wall.
Because Jerusalem is never supposed to be numbered. And the walls of Jerusalem are now breached. But go on.
Verse 11. Ye made also a ditch between the two walls for the water of the old pool.
Mm-hmm.
But ye have not looked unto the maker thereof.
Go on.
Neither have respect unto him.
Now what this is saying is speaking about how you have a problem. You need the problem to be fixed. But what you are doing, you are trying to fix a problem that you have no skill set to fix. That's why he says, but you should look to the maker. He's the one that knew and has the plan. Continue, please.
Neither had respect unto him that fashioned it long ago.
Go on.
And in that day did Yahweh, power of hearts, hosts, call to weeping, and to mourning, and to baldness, and to girding with sackcloth. And behold.
So we can stop there. So he's telling you that all of the people should have humbled themselves and come together and mourn before the Lord for him to change and to make them over. But they didn't do it. This is why when you read this particular script here, it's telling you a whole lot without telling you. Remember, the scripture says the mysteries of these things is given to us. That's how when the other nations read, they just read it surface level. There's more to this. We'll put that in just a moment. So from here, drop that. Let's go back to Second Ezra, if you please. Chapter 4, Second Ezra chapter 4. And we're going to read verse 38. Second Ezra chapter 4.
Second Ezra chapter 4.
We're going to read verse 38.
Second Ezra chapter 4, verse 38. Then answered I and said, O Yahweh, that bearest rule, even we all are full of impiety.
Impiety. Now remember, we did deal with that last week, huh? Right? Who remembers what is impiety? Say again? Who said it? Yes, correct. Reverence. Meaning you don't hold a godly view towards it or something, huh? So it tells us, read it again, sir, please.
Second Ezra 5:38. Then answered I and said, O Yahweh, that bearest rule, even we all are full of impiety.
We are full of impiety. We lack reverence. What you're seeing today is the lack of reverence. That's why, with this, in this truth, there has to be a standard where our people are learning to respect leadership. You have to. And here's the joke. You respected it when you're in Christianity because it started to look like Roman Catholicism.
That's right.
I know this. I remember the days when I used to put on the dog collar. I remember those days. Here's the joke of it. Because I had the dog collar on and I went out somewhere, let's say local